What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is iRate Reviews, the review show where I go over comic books, art, and story, as well as give you an idea as to what I thought about it and whether it's something you should pick up or not. I'm going to be going over Batman number 10. So Batman number 10 is the continuation of the I Am Suicide arc. So this is part 2, where we see the introduction of Batman basically in his Batplane flying into Santa Prisca sovereign airspace. And immediately he just utters this confrontational tone. It's just like, I'm Batman, I'm here for Psycho Pirate, turn him over and I leave, otherwise I'm going to come in there and I'm going to break your back. And that is something that you're going to hear Batman say repeatedly. There's not really anything else that he says in this other than various grunts, gurgles, and arrs, and various noises that his body makes. But, he flies into this airspace, he gets shot down, and ultimately it's just one of those just giant fiery balls, and he gets caught in this confrontation with hundreds of dudes. So he's like on this rocky peninsula aspect of Santa Prisca, and he's just fighting against all these odds. We find him broken and battered. He's introduced to Bane, who's still naked, still weird, still surrounded by skulls. It's a little freaky. Honest Bane, put on some shorts or something like that, because it's just like, I don't know what you're doing walking around like that in there. So at this point in time, Batman is a broken and beaten dude, and we see a very familiar sight happen, unfortunately. Not necessarily as menacing as picking somebody up over your shoulder and dropping him to the knee, but still effective nonetheless. As a result of that, he gets thrown into the same prison cell that we saw Bane in the first issue of I Am Suicide, Batman number 9, where the tide would rise and lower and things like that he had to survive for years, a decade or more. And Batman, as the water comes in, wakes himself up, smashes his way into this concrete cell structure, and then resets himself so that way he can still function, which is that's brutal, man. You're just like, no, don't do that. That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt real bad. But he just, whole hog right into it. So that was a very intense part. But then we see the whole espionage aspect. He makes his way out and then finds the rest of his compatriots that are there to assist him. But that's not really the overall story. That's the visual story that's going behind it. What we see in the actual word bubbles and the things that are going on there, very nice handwritten words, is a letter from Catwoman to Bruce Wayne / Batman. And this is a retelling of kind of her origin in this New 52 sense, where she was an orphan. She grew up in a Wayne family foster home for boys and girls, how she looked up at the photo of those, that family with admiration for years, and why she ended up murdering 237 people after she left Bruce, to go off and do something. And that was just... It was great. It's one of those things where you can tell a visual story and you can tell a story behind the scenes. So you get this sense of motivation, you get this sense of foreboding that the basic relationship between Batman and Catwoman is going to be something that's very intense, and it's going to be something that's going to get fleshed out during this whole episode. And that I Am Suicide is really just kind of a backdrop for what this greater relationship management piece is going to be about. And I'm really excited for that. The one thing that I'm also really excited is that Mikhail Janin is going to continue to draw it for the rest of the arc, because his art is gorgeous. It's beautiful. These action set pieces, the way that they frame the individual panels and things like that. There's a lot of chaos and dirty lines and things like that in this air battle where things are exploding, but then it's very clean and pristine in various other areas. I really dig his visuals, and it's very complimentary to the way things are going. However, there is that whole statement, I'm going to break your back, and that's all that Batman really says. So if we're going to be throwing a little bit of theory out there, I have this sneaking suspicion that this shouldn't be Batman, or it's not Batman. It's like some sort of dummy or life model decoy. I know it's the wrong universe and whatnot, but it's something similar to that, like the ventriloquist is somehow involved in this, because the fact that he only utters these multiple sentences in succession the entire time, there's only 5 or 6 instances where he actually speaks, regardless of his situation, he is getting mangled by Bane, and he still says the exact same thing. That just does not seem like Batman until he actually gets to the doorway, and then he asks about the other part of the team, the other teammate. So it's really weird, and I hope that there's some sort of twist that's going to come along in issue number 11 to really explain that a little bit more, because that just seemed like super insane I don't know why you're doing this, Batman, kind of stuff. But overall, that just makes for a great issue. So definitely recommend you go grab this one. If you didn't pick up Batman number 9, what are you doing? You go to your store, get 9, get 10, and just follow along as Tom King really finds his stride for this Batman book. So that's my review of Batman number 10, but I want to know what you guys thought about it too. I mean, that's so good. I want to know what everybody thinks about it. So hit me up in the comments down below, and let's have that conversation. As always, if you like what you see, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe right there to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.